Hello, and welcome back to the #1 survival guide of the Cylinder. And today, we shall sail across the seas to the most biodiverse stretch of ocean on the entire Cylinder, the Painted Sea. As your submarine began to be lowered into the water, you looked out into the distance one last time, and saw a sight of a black pelican. The black pelican has the longest legs out of any known bird species, and uses them to walk through shallow areas of reef to fish. This bird's hunting strategy is considerably interesting, as instead of hunting like a normal creature, it will fan out its feathers and partially submerge its beak into the water, creating a black dome over the water. This causes nearby fish to see it as cover, and therefore causes them to swim towards it, only for them to be eaten swiftly after. The first thing you noticed about the reef, as soon as you were submerged, is just the sheer amount of biodiversity in both coral species and the wildlife. The first creature you noticed on your descent was the blue-finned rainbow fish. The blue-finned rainbow fish is on the bottom of the food chain, nearly, and eats an assortment of worms and aquatic mollusks. Fun fact, in most nearby cultures, this fish is simply known as the fish that tastes good. Out of nowhere, a small reptilian creature jumped into the water and ate the fish right in front of you. It was a paddle-finned sea serpent. These small aquatic dragons live in large communities on the beach, similar to seals. And in the day, they go down into the reef to hunt. You drove the sub extremely close to the sea floor, almost scraping the bottom of it on the coral below you. But, just as you did, something that once appeared to just be coral crawled away from your submarine. It was a fire-maned sea cucumber, one of the most important cleanup crew creatures on the reef. The fire-maned sea cucumber has large orange and red spikes on its head that contain enough venom to kill 700 people in one sting. The fire-maned sea cucumber also plays an extremely valuable role in the ecosystem, acting as an important cleanup crew creature, as it will eat dead bodies of long-deceased animals, and rocks and many other species of coral, as well as shellfish. And all these things combined, when digested through their digestive system, turns into the sand, the very soil that the coral grows from. Suddenly, a small cephalopod dashed to the water at the sea cucumber, killing it. It was an amulet squid. Amulet squids are fairly aptly named, as their body shape greatly resembles a broken amulet or necklace. And the amulet squid actually uses those long cord-like appendages as a hunting strategy. For you see, this squid will drag its appendages extremely fast across the sea floor, in hopes of hitting any defenseless animals, or at least dazing them. And once they're hit, they will be administered with a lethal dose of paralyzing venom that will then leave them defenseless, allowing the amulet squid to collect its prey unopposed. You drove your sub even closer to the surface, and you saw a small coral spire grasping, seemingly, for the surface air. And lying there on the top, a small sandy patch on the coral, was a considerably interesting blue crustacean. It was a filter crab. The filter crab is, you guessed it, a filter feeder, and spends most of its time standing perfectly still on top of coral spires, waiting for plankton to cross its path. Further in the distance, you noticed another tropical fish. It was a comet fish. The comet fish gets its name from its strangely shaped body and the way that it effortlessly moves through the water like a comet or a shooting star. One other thing that they share in common with real comets is that their main defense mechanism is ramming into their predators at full speed and taking a chunk off their flesh. As for what they eat, they are mainly proficient in eating crustaceans and other shelled creatures. You eventually began to move further down into the water, and you found yourself in a large reef trench. And you eventually began to notice the faint silhouette of a large marine predator in the distance, chasing a school of fish. It was a saw-toothed terrorfish. The saw-toothed terrorfish is a large, very reef shark-like aquatic predator that is very closely related to the razorfin terrorfish of the wild sea. However, it is much smaller and significantly more aggressive. The sawtooth gets its name from its 86 razor-sharp serrated teeth that it uses to rip apart its prey into thousands of tiny, unrecognizable fleshy chunks, not unlike how a chainsaw would. This creature is also known for its immense speed, and in many nearby cultures is known as the blister whip, or the god of speed and determination. You kept driving through the canyon, which eventually broke away into more ocean. Suddenly, a large fish burst out of the sand and ate a random tropical fish. It was a coral-headed wobbegong. These wobbegongs are lion-weight predators and use their blue heads to blend in with the abundance of coral species in their environment. They're also known to be scavengers and come out of their hiding place at night to feed on the corpses. You kept traveling, and eventually came to another reef trench. But something grasped your attention. A cave on the cliff wall. You began to explore this strange cave out of your own curiosity. It was dark, almost entirely pitch black, but you were able to somehow light one of the lanterns in your sub. You had just unknowingly stepped into the den of a red kraken. While red krakens are one of the smaller krakens, they are the most dangerous to humans and humanoid creatures. In fact, they're even known to actively hunt fishing boats. The red kraken is also frighteningly intelligent, and is one of the only cephalopods that teaches its children how to hunt. Red krakens are also mainly nocturnal hunters, and spend the whole day in their caves, watching over their hoard of food. And on the topic of their diet, it primarily consists of terrorfish, every tropical fish in the Painted Sea, black pelicans, and, of course, fishermen. They are also, of course, extremely fast, and use that large fin under their head as a rudder, making their turns even faster. They also use their copious amounts of ink during hunting, allowing them to use it to daze and confuse their prey before attacking. But, unfortunately for you, this absolute sea beast of a creature crushed your submarine with its tentacles, and killed you in an instant. And that now brings us to the end of this chapter of the Survival Guide.